Ma is the 2019 horror comedy film, and actually, I think this would be kind of cheating to consider this a horror comedy. To me, I technically view this as a thriller comedy. And in this film, the story revolves around a woman who invite a large group of teenagers to her house in her basement to have many parties and have fun together. And it's not until later when things start to take a turn for the worst, and when these secrets of this woman are finally revealed. Before I get further into the review, I just want to apologize first off for being behind on reviews. I missed Detective Pikachu and Aladdin. Don't worry, I will be reviewing those movies sometime, hopefully this week, on my channel. I've been busy and stuff like that, so I haven't really had the time to review movies. I will review Detective Pikachu and Aladdin. And I will continue the MCU movies and stuff like that. And I also have 2 more reviews that will be coming out this month for 2 releases, Toy Story 4 and Child's Play, so look forward to those. That will be coming out later this month. But anyway, let's talk about this movie. I really do have a lot to say about this movie. I just came back from a screening of this movie, and entering this movie, I didn't really know how to feel. And walking out of this movie, I didn't really know how to feel about this movie. And it all came together after a little bit. And it didn't even take me that long to process everything. It really didn't take me that long at all. Probably like maybe a good 5 minutes to process everything in this movie. And, I realized that a lot of people were watching this movie, and I even went online and looked at the, feedback that this movie got, and processing everything that was in this movie, the comedy and the horror and the storyline and stuff like that. And then, there are a lot of people that'll have opinions on movies, different opinions. They'll say a movie's good, bad, okay, and usually sometimes they won't know how to feel about a movie. But honestly, I'm just going to tell you, I thought this movie was fine. It's okay. It's not really anything special. For me, it's hard for someone, especially me, to be super duper excited about a horror movie, because technically we haven't really gotten horror movies that were that great, at least, that blew me. I haven't really seen a horror movie recently, at least, that blew me away. Yes, Us is a pretty great horror movie, which was released this year, but it's not anything like a masterpiece. We haven't really gotten anything that great in recent years, at least, that's in the horror genre. So I knew that this film wasn't going to be anything special, and I was completely right. This film is technically not even a great movie at all. This isn't really that much of a great movie. It's not. Like I said, this movie is okay. There are a lot of aspects of this movie that I liked, and a lot of aspects that I really didn't like about this movie. First off, let's talk about the performances in this movie. Diana Silvers and Octavia Spencer really do carry this film in so many ways. Their performances are really great. They are confident, and their performances are really strong in this movie. And to me, those were the only 2 performances in this movie that really stood out. The other performances are okay. Sometimes they are forgettable, but those are the really 2 actors that stood out for me the most in this movie. One big disappointing thing that I found while watching this movie was that this movie is very, very slow in regards to, building up horror elements, because this film barely has any horror elements. I was even told on IMDb that this is a horror/thriller comedy film. I wouldn't really call this film a horror film, actually. I'd call it more of a thriller, because this film hardly has any suspenseful sequences or anything scary, and the word horror means scary. I didn't find a single thing scary about this movie, and I think it's mostly because the film heavily relies on its story, and That's another thing about this movie that really hurts it. The story sounds so familiar, like other movies. Without spoilers, the story in this movie reminded me of other horror movies like Carrie. But without any spoilers towards a specific characters, there's just a certain character in this film. And I'm not going to say the name of the character or the actor that plays the character, but there's a certain character that's been affected by many things that has happened in that character's past. And it affects that character in this movie to become something threatening. And it feels like Carrie, just in a different perspective. And it's not just Carrie. A lot of films have had this subplot. Actually, I wouldn't even call this a subplot, since this is technically a big part of this movie. But still, a lot of films have this formula. The main character has had something that has affected them in their past. And in the film, the thing that affected them in the past makes them become the threat. And I thought that was just annoying. It was annoying for them to actually add that in this film. I really thought the story could have been stronger. It wasn't terrible. It really wasn't. There were some moments in the story that I really liked. Yeah, I liked some moments, and most of it I really didn't like. The thing that stood out for me the most in this movie were the performances, like I already said. And the comedy in this film is honestly a 50-50 for me. There were times that it worked, and there were times that it didn't work. And honestly, I'd call this movie a comedy film. Just a comedy film. Because there were hardly any thrilling elements. The thrilling elements, I'd say, start to get kicked in the last 30 minutes of the movie. That's when scary stuff, not even scary stuff, but that's when action really starts to happen. In the last 30 minutes of the movie, you're not really going to see anything like thrilling or suspenseful or like gore. You're not really going to see any of that stuff until like the last 30 minutes of the movie. And that was kind of disappointing for me because I really wanted to see more of that. I wanted to see more action, considering that this is a horror comedy. Another thing that really bugs me is from the adult perspective of this film. Just the adult characters alone. So many adult characters were just despicable. And I'm not talking about them as adults themselves, but things they did as they were a lot younger. Couldn't stand them. These were despicable characters. And they got on my mind every time, let's say a flashback would happen or a character would just say something. I legit wanted them to die in this movie. I will say this though, I will give this film credit for having really good humor. This film really does have some balanced humor and its comedy is well paced. On the other hand, its story is very, very familiar. We've seen this formula in a lot of other films. The concept was interesting. The problem is it was executed poorly. And it's not terrible. Trust me when I say this. This movie isn't terrible. Because I think there are some of you that will probably get a kick out of this movie. That's only if you're a person that doesn't nitpick at movies and you just want to go out at night just to see a movie that's enjoyable at least. But if you're the type of person that really likes to nitpick at stuff and you'll be looking at something, you're probably going to be watching this movie a lot and being like, no, that's stupid. That's just so stupid. You're going to have a hard time watching this movie. This movie isn't something special, but it's not garbage either. This movie was average to me. It's a 50-50 for me. There were so many things that I really couldn't stand, mostly because of the things that looked familiar or the unnecessary sequences and decisions they made in this movie. But again, there were other things that I thought this movie did really well. I'm gonna give Ma a C+. I highly recommend you check out this movie. Like I said, don't always listen to my opinion. Watch this movie, please. Watch this movie and form your own opinion. And once you do watch this movie, let me know what you thought about it in the comment section below. Or did you already see Ma? If you did, let me know what you thought in the comment section. But anyway, thank you guys so much for watching this review. You guys are the best. I love every single one of you. I have a Detective Pikachu review and an Aladdin review that I'll be doing soon. So stay tuned for those, and I'm still gonna continue on the MCU movie reviews. So please stay tuned for those as well. But anyway, thank you guys so much for watching this review. And as always, I am Mario Fan 520, and I will see you next time. Peace out.